As you guys already know, the San Francisco 49ers unfortunately find themselves at the bottom of the NFC West after the Rams beat the Vikings on Thursday night football. Obviously, a controversial ending to that one, but nonetheless, this is what happens when the San Francisco 49ers lose to the Rams and Cardinals this season. As you can see, it is a three-way tie for second place, but because Cardinals and Rams own a tiebreaker over the San Francisco 49ers, they find themselves at the bottom. Now, there's two ways that I think you can look at this, and we can discuss this. Obviously, for this season, this is not how anyone anticipated the 49ers would start the year. They didn't think that they would lose to the Cardinals, didn't think they would lose to the Rams and find themselves this many games in at the bottom of the NFC West, right? So there is an element of disappointment, there's an element of frustration from fans when they see this. But there is also another way to try to quantify this. Now, the biggest path and the number one goal that teams set for themselves for the beginning of a season is winning their division, right? Obviously, losing to the Cardinals and Rams, not a good step in the right direction of doing just that. However, they're still only one game out. And they do have the current tiebreaker over the Seattle Seahawks right now. So it's a close division now. There's a lot of parity in this division. It feels like the Rams are getting better. It did seem like they were getting prepared to be a seller at the deadline, potentially maybe trading Cooper Cup. But honestly, I don't know why you would at this point. You're still close in it, and it looks like you could use Cooper Cup. So I don't know if the Rams would trade him. That will be interesting to see if that actually does occur because they have a chance to get hot and they could go on a run. So the thing is that the 49ers have that same potential as well. Now, I think a lot of fans right now don't feel that potential. I think they look at the loss against the Kansas City Chiefs and they look at how the offense was just a shell of itself and didn't play well, point blank, period. And they're not seeing how this team could get back on track. But I do believe they can. But it all starts this weekend against the Cowboys. You got to get this win. It's crazy that we continue to find this team in these scenarios. I think we've had like three must win games already this season. They had to beat the Patriots, they had to beat the Seattle Seahawks, and now they have to beat the Cowboys. And the reason why they find themselves in these must win categories is because they've lost the week prior. And it's all about stacking and building momentum. It's one of the main things we've been talking about with this season. And when you look at the loss to the Rams and you look at the loss to the Cardinals, those are two games they should have won. But should have doesn't get it done. Coulda doesn't get it done. And that's when we've talked about this team's identity, especially after that game and fall to the Chiefs was right now. It feels like their identity is woulda, coulda, shoulda, because you should have beat the Cardinals. You should have beat the Rams. You should theoretically have 5 wins right now, right? 5 wins changes the dynamic, and that would still have them in first place, even with a loss against the Vikings, even with a loss against the Chiefs. The season would look dramatically different being 5-2 right now opposed to 3-4. And that's why those two losses against the Cardinals and the Rams are the probably the most frustrating of them all, is because now this is the scenario that they find themselves in. They find themselves at the bottom of the division with a massive hole and continuing to find themselves in these must-win games because they're trying to get back into the hunt. They're trying to get back into the middle of this thing, which they still currently are, even being 3-4. And the thing is, we have seen crazier things happen. with teams that start out 3-4. And so I think a lot of people are. I did a poll on this. Let's take a look at the poll that I did on YouTube because I just kind of wanted to get a sense of where you are team. Do you think it's over? Do you think the 49ers are cooked, or do you think there's still time to get back on track? I just genuinely kind of want to understand where the fan base is sitting on this particular point. And when I asked YouTube, they answered and they said 25% think that the 49ers are cooked. They have no chance at returning to the playoffs or having any opportunity to get back in. And that's with 8,700 votes. And you can see that the majority, 49% says no, the season isn't over. There's still time to get back on track. And then 26% also voted 50-50. It can go either way. So I do think I think the 75% or the 25% does represent kind of the loud minority when it comes to a lot of people saying it's over and heavily criticizing where the 49ers are at this point, which no one's saying that they shouldn't be criticized for their performances up to this point. But I do think it is important to contextualize that they are still in it. Even though it feels very painful, especially coming off a Super Bowl loss just this last season, everything is hyper. Um, there's a hyper analyst, a hyper feeling like everything is taken to the nth degree um, right now. And I think that is due to the loss of the Super Bowl. And I don't think there's a right and wrong with that. I think it is what it is. You're going to process these games however you process them. But it is, if we're going to speak in realities, the reality is that the San Francisco 49ers get a win against the Cowboys, an NFC opponent, and they go 4-4 into the bye, and all signs are pointing to Christian McCaffrey returning to Week 10, and then you go and face another NFC opponent in the Bucks, and you get a win um, with the team that is missing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and then you stack that into a win against the Seahawks in week 11 and you sweep the Seahawks. That is the recipe to kind of get back on track. And then after that, that's when you have a daunting task of going to Packers, to Bills, and hopefully coming. I would say best case scenario right now is they split. You win one. It's a back-to-back road trip in at the end of November, early December. I'm sure conditions are going to be questionable. I think that I think that the team has to at least split those games. But then you have the Bears. The Bears are playing better. But I still think the 49ers should win that game. And then you got the Rams week 15. Got to get that game. Then you got the Dolphins week 16. That's a winnable game. And then it's Lions. That's going to be a challenging one. They might drop that game. And then you've got the Cardinals week 18. So although it is a daunting part of the schedule and it definitely gets tougher, there are winnable games and there is an opportunity to get back into on top of the NFC West. So yes, right now it does not feel good, but it's not over just yet. As been saying, it's not over till the fat lady starts singing. She might be warming up those vocal cords, me 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 me. Like she might be like me me me. She might be getting a little warm with the vocal cords, but she's not singing yet. So we're gonna try to shh, no singing around these parts just yet. Um, so it's not over, and but again, it puts uh, a huge situation and outlook on this Cowboys game. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.